Hello, Dana. Hello, Mina. Hello, Mina. Hello, Jane. Hello, Jane. So maybe we spend a few times together in presence. You're welcome either to close your eyes or turn your gaze inward and simply be effortless being. We are the same presence, silent and still. Words arise in this silent presence. And it is that silent presence which we love. Which is the peace, it is as this silent presence that we are one. And it is that oneness which we love, because that oneness is love itself. God's voice is this silence. The ocean of being, which does not know separation. You and I are one as that ocean. As being, as this silent, still presence, there is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to prove, nothing you need to attain. The mind is peaceful in the simple recognition of this silent, still presence, which is God's presence, God's being. The mind, thoughts, and sensations are simply wavelets at the surface of the ocean. They have no real significance. They have no independent reality outside of the ocean. Listen to the ocean, to the silence, which is beyond the mind. It is this silence which heals all wounds. It is silence which speaks, and silence which perceives and hears. Because you are that silence. You are that love. You have never truly been anything else. And you can never be anything else. The entire universe is God's play. And you are not separate from God or from God's play. Only love heals, truth heals. Truth and love are beyond the mind. And when they shine onto the mind, it's a blessing. So if you have any questions, anything you would like to explore, discuss, make sure you unmute yourself. Any questions? Hello, Lila.
Can you hear me, Magdi? Can
Yes,
you hear me?
I hear you.
Oh, lovely.
I don't see you, but I hear you.
I have my video off for
Okay.
house people moving around reasons.
Okay.
Um, the question's in formation, so forgive me if there's a little silence. Um, I I don't want to put the label feeling on this because it's just doesn't resonate. Um, some perception of is witnessing what's going on in the world, yet being one with it. So sort of feeling this boiling of emotions and that don't belong to me. Uh, Friends, family, beloveds, people affected by war right now, a lot of them, some Jewish clergy that I'm very friendly with. Uh, Yet, what I find happening is almost this as I open to the energy of the world without fear, as just the still point of 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 being it. There's this seeming paradox that's manifesting in the embodiment process that's happening, and it's this absolute explosion of creativity that is like these words don't even, it's like almost diametrically opposed to the energy of the world. It's this polar opposite of, it's like a joy. It's like uh, 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 it has the flavor of mania, but it's a creative force that's moving all of this uh, accessible memory of comedy. It's like tragedy and comedy. I'm just experiencing a lot of it sounds like dualistic thinking, but it's all merged into life. It's it's just a beautiful happening. If you can speak on that, perhaps touch on my anyway, that's it. Thanks.
You know, the world as it appears to us is both the tension and the release. Is things come together, pressure increases, and then at some point it release.
Yes. It feels like breathing.
Yes, the breath is inhalation and the exhalation.
Yes.
There is a combustion, the combustion.
Yes. Yes.
The release of energy. There's like a wave has a rise and a crest and that's a wave. It's both the energy that comes together and creates a wave that is both sides, the rising and then the release.
Yeah. Yes.
And
yeah.
This movement, this sort of contraction and release, this increase in pressure and then the release of the pressure are phenomenal, meaning their activity of mind, synaptic activities, the brain and universal dance. And this movement appears in the non-movement.
Yes. The still point.
Yes.
It's still a point.
Yes.
Until it's not. It's a simultaneous expansion and contraction.
And
When
then,
I check in with the body, that's the
yes,
essence of it.
right. So at the body level, there is that movement. But at another level, at the level of being, of presence, at the level of love, at the level of truth, there is no movement. It's just like
the clouds just
like a
moving.
Circle, and there is a series of points. Every point is sort of at a different location on the circle, but it's all one circle. There isn't even a point in the circle. And the understanding about the non-movement, about the stillness, about the peace, like understanding about the peace, releases the impression that there is something at stake out there, and that there is something that is impacting, that has a reality outside of the peace, outside of being, outside of the stillness. When we are in the world acting from a place of peace, a place of understanding, we don't take any position. There is only love, only peace, only freedom and joy. And our actions, our speech, our thoughts, and our behavior expresses and points towards the peace, towards love.
Yes. So what you're pointing to in my understanding is not to a place that's coming, but an understanding that's just revealing itself, like through my experience. I don't know, that probably doesn't make sense. It feels close. It feels near. It feels, when you say these words, it feels pregnant. It feels like it's ripening, and that my understanding is there's a veil there.
The contraction and the release are one movement. One movement. There isn't one which dominates the other. It's one movement. And
yes,
not to take a position on one side or on the other, to understand it's one movement. So
yes.
The understanding about oneness is the understanding about love. Because in love, there are not two. So when we approach the events in the world from the perspective of love, of oneness, we don't take any position outside of the position of love, peace, friendship, honor, justice, balance, listening, exploring, contemplating, being vulnerable.
So anything that shows up that is not that attribute, that noumenal, all the noumenal attributes you just spoke of, when something shows up that's not that, it's phenomenal experience. It's
coming from a position.
Yes.
But the noumenal has no position. It's only love. You could say it has a position of love if you want to. But whatever mind activity we perceive or we engage in, which is not blessed by love, is detrimental to the peace of being.
Yes.
Relatively speaking, because peace is never affected by anything. It's like the sky is not affected by the clouds. And yet, in the game of life is the game of love and not the game of the mind. Because the mind is divided. It is conditioned. And what deconditions the mind is the understanding about love, about our true self, which is only one self. Me and you, we are the same self. We are the same consciousness, the same being, the same essence, the same reality, the same substance. That understanding is a crucial understanding in guiding us in decision making. anything outside of that is contaminated, is affected by the sense of separation, by the identification. Identification is a sort of holding on. When you hold on, when we hold on, then there is a need for the release, because the hold on by itself is imbalanced. It needs the release. When there is the release of the holding on, there is peace. So there is the holding on and the release. And that's
let go or be dragged. Sorry.
Yes, let go or be dragged. Yes.
Yeah. That's been very present for a few weeks. Yes.
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 So then, as much as possible, we are the voice of peace, the voice of love, the voice of reconciliation, the voice of understanding. And love is always in the present.
Yes.
It's like the sunshine. The sun is shining in that moment. There is the sunshine, the light, the warmth of the sunshine is in the moment. It's not in time. When we love, we are abandoned. We are completely abandoned. Not abandoned in sort of rejected, but abandoned in the sense of we're completely open. The complete vulnerability. We're not in a defensive position. So,
yes. Yes. Yes.
In the darkness, a glimmer of light attracts, calls your attention. A glimmer of light points the way towards a light. And as you progress towards that glimmer of light, the light expands and it dispels the darkness.
Yes. It's the background of peace.
Yes.
It's and that has it's just it feels incremental, but that's not it. There's this gradual wearing away, dissolving sandpaper quality of the dissolving of Leela.
Yeah.
And more and more as the phenomenal events of the world transpire, I don't find myself in the future or in the past, other than the past is I'm gleaning the comedy of the trauma now. Yes, it's that background of just peace that's pervading all phenomenal experience, so that when I find my energy rising to the level of the mind chatter, it's like a breath that just the peace is there, and not an accessible state, but I don't want anything there. And I'm not anywhere.
Right, but
I just don't desire anything.
Yes, but what you are looking for is not in the world or in the mind.
Yes.
we are looking for is already available as that which is looking.
Yes. Yes. The seeking has, it feels stopped, but it doesn't feel unspun. That's totally contradictory. It's still vibrating. The seeker is still vibrating.
There can be interest in the contemplation, interest in truth, interest in
Yes.
The exploration of our experience, even after the understanding that there is no separate entity anywhere.
Yes. Yes. I find myself in contemplation going back to my my teachers from way back, Ram Dass, and all of the bhakti bliss that ensued. And I find myself not going back there to grab onto any of it now, but to go back there as a celebration of making it over the edge, almost like a full circle. I get why I got trapped in the bhakti. I understand the perfume of it. And it's so beautiful. It's just a celebration. And I enjoy the celebration of it without the adoration.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding myself going back to the things, the phenomenal things that brought me to here.
Yeah, I mean, we can enjoy that.
Yeah.
We can enjoy visiting territories and that are happy for us. As you said, without the adoration, because the self already is itself. First, it overlooks itself and imagines itself out there somewhere. So it seeks and pursues and adores.
Yes.
But in time, it comes to the understanding that I am the self. And then, yes, the celebration, the contemplation, the playfulness, the peace.
Yes, it all comes back. Yeah.
Sharing the understanding.
Yes, because when I'm revisiting lectures from Ram Dass, the truth, their pointers, they're all mixed and interspersed with the phenomenal stories. And the teaching method is, it's just so lovely to hear sprinklings of the truth within all of it and to be able to recognize it now rather than try to figure it out. In any case, yeah.
Well, there is a Sufi saying that says, wherever my eyes fall is God's body, God's truth. Everywhere and everything is God. Everything. So we are never anywhere else. We're never apart from the truth. Everything that we contemplate is our very self, God's being. When we look in the yard and we are looking at an oak tree, it's not an oak tree. before the mind conceptualizes oak tree, we are experiencing our very self, our creation. We never experience anything outside of ourselves because we are never apart, we're never not ourselves. Everything we experience, there is a grain of truth in everything we experience.
Yeah. And it's just, it's quite beautiful to know that, to be able to see that in places, in dark places where other people fear to go.
We are always the love. We are love itself. So love doesn't know dark places.
Mm-hmm. The shadows are just mind play.
Yes. But the mind comes to rest in love, in truth, in being. The mind comes to rest. And the shadow play is just a movement of mind. When the mind comes to rest in being, there are no shadows.
Thank you, Maggie. It's my sadhana for the weekend. Still, thank you. Namaste.
Any questions? Well, if there are no questions, it's very lovely to be with you, Nina and Lila. And Dena. Hi, Doug. Hello, Lynn. And Renate. Hello, Renate. Lovely to be with you all. Namaste. Yes.